Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey everyone, welcome to the discussion for Libertalia, the Winds of Galecrest, the ever-exciting remake of a cult classic of the original Libertalia that I don't care about anymore because it's not on. So, obviously this game has been getting a ton of flack just for even existing. And I gotta say, from my point of view, I do like this better. Yep. But it is the same game, with a few minor tweaks. So if you, I mean, Zach will probably, he might differ, but I would say if you like Libertalia, you're gonna like this. Mm-hmm. The biggest discrepancy between the two is the art, so let's get that out of the way. This art, by itself, is fine. Yeah. It's not amazing, it's not like, no one's comparing this to, people might with Everdell, but Everdell has, the charm and the whimsy. Right. And, I actually like the art.
I wouldn't compare it to Everdell.
Well, because it's animals. That's right. The only thing that I would kind of bring it up as. Yeah. This is, weird indie, low polygon type of art. Right. Very... cartoonish, yeah. Very bright, vibrant. It is fine. I don't know why they changed it. I think they easily could have just done this same kind of cartoony art style with humans and with the characters from the original, but whatever. Because that seems to be the biggest thing that everyone is shitting on this, and the furry jokes that I made the entire run through. I mean, justified, whatever, it's fine, but it doesn't affect the game.
But the art's not bad.
It's not. No. In fact, I would even argue the original is dated in some way.
Sure.
And art's subjective, so that's what people can grasp and rate this a 1 without ever actually playing it. But with that being said, I actually do like this better, mainly because it's more modern. It is streamlined. There's no confusion on cards like we were talking about with the original. There are clarifying... it clarifies what those very specific cards do. Right. Even the small thing we mentioned about the exiled versus the discard, it's very clear in this one. So obviously those were issues with the original. That I guess they were like, oh, we need to fix that. With that being said, what do you guys think of Libertalia, Winds of Galecrest? I'm like whoever.
So, I liked it. I did feel like it was different player interaction. So in the original one, there's a lot more tokens that affect other players when you take them. Mm-hmm. Here, there's only one really now.
Yeah, the saber.
Right.
Mm-hmm. The abilities on the tokens, if you flip the board, are more aggressive.
Okay. Yes, and also I'll bring them out while you keep talking. There are tokens you can swap them.
Okay. So at least for the way we played, it was
a
lot...
calm side.
Okay, so it was a lot less, I'll call it, aggressive versus the other game was on choice of tokens. Realistically, you made the best choice every time you could with these tokens.
Yeah.
Where, when we played the original Libertalia, sometimes you chose the token that helps you more than what it was going to do if it fell into someone else's hand.
Yeah. Those are auto. So the night side for the amulet would be gain 1 for each reputation token to the right of yours. The relic is at the night, you lose a coin. Instead of at the end, you lose 3.
Right.
The barrel is you may discard this token to gain 2 reputation, and at the end you gain 2 money. The chest is you gain 4 coins plus 1 for each of your map tokens. The hook, discard the character that gained this token. The saber, discard a character of your choice from an adjacent player's ship. There you go. There's the original. And then the map, if you have more map tokens than any opponent, gain 8 money and discard your maps. Otherwise, keep your map tokens for the next voyage.
Huh.
That's better.
That's better.
Yeah. I like this because it's not so much hinged on luck of the draw. You at least can gain something if you gain 2.
Yeah.
But I do like the fact that these are versatile and you can just shuffle them and be like, oh, which one do we want to do? Okay, let's do the barrel night, or flip the board and have all night tokens.
Right.
So I like that these exist. Yeah, it does seem the tokens, the loot themselves are not as cutthroat, but the cards ended up being.
Right.
A lot more cards were killing everyone.
And definitely just, again, clarifying the cards are fairly cut and dry versus the other one could be subjective. And like we even saw, like the Preacher was one of the more classic ones because the old Preacher basically says discard all but one of your loot. One loot.
One loot, yeah.
Is it talking about the day or is it talking from what you have? This one's very clear. Your loot.
Yes.
Discard so you only have one.
Yes.
That's kind of nice.
It is nice. And that, I mean, once again, I didn't really flack the original for that. It came out in 2012.
Sure.
So I would have shit on this one if they didn't fix it.
Right.
Because it's like, okay, you had 10 years to add your.
Yes.
Brett, what do you think of this one?
Largely the same. I agree with all the pluses and minuses that have been discussed, and all that pans out for me. The one thing that just bugs me, but on the nighttime or the other powers I can see, is just the whole concept of reputation. It seems to be so important on the cards, but it ends up having very little to do with the actual game mechanic.
Right.
So that bugged me, but I can see on those powers they suddenly become a lot more strategic.
Right, because you're constantly moving up and down. Yeah, the order of the cards kind of threw me for a loop, because there were a time where it's like, wait, does reputation mean I pick first or my ability goes first? Because honestly, I'd rather have my ability go first.
Right.
But I guess it depends on the card.
It depends on the card and when you play it.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and we were doing it, of course, where you pick first, because ultimately that's kind of what you want to go. But there's a lot of cards here that are like, I really need to go before everyone else, like my Brute. It's like, or whatever. It's like, man, I'd really like to play my card first.
Yeah.
Right.
But
and I also feel like the overall feel for me playing was more strategic. Not a lot.
Yeah.
But then the original one, more of a party, silly, let's throw our cards and see what happens. You could almost play it random blind draws
True.
just to see what happens.
Right.
Yeah.
This one I really felt like, okay, I want to do this now, and if I do this, I can do that and not lose.
There's a lot
Cool.
There's a lot more combo capability that would seem like it really didn't matter what cards you drew. You could find some combos to work it through.
And I think having the 10 cards, the 10 extra cards, adds more versatility. My favorite part of the original was the fact you draw 6 and you're like, ooh. And in this one, because you still draw 6 but you start playing more, that opens up the possibilities for way more combos. Because there were multiple times you thought I was playing certain cards, and I was like, am I missing something? But then, like, how you saw cards to use was different than how I saw them, and I like that.
Yeah.
All right, Zach.
This game is technically better than the original, I think. Yeah, I think it's... I have gripes about it, which would probably make them about even in my mind.
Yeah.
The board is a little messy.
I would agree. These needed to... You're talking about, like, these specifically?
Just organizationally, it's just it could be streamlined.
Sure.
It's weird that these are on the top, and I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not a big gripe. It's
I
just,
like that these are here, but I don't like the fact that they're see-through. Like, because
they take a lot of space where they don't, most of them don't need to.
Well, just like replacement for me. So you have chest, then barrel, and then ambulance all by itself.
Right.
Those should all be like in a row.
Like the benefit one should be at the top. No, I agree.
Like they were on the
Or
other
they should have,
one.
because they didn't want to cover the art, and certain games do this. They take what is it, style over substance. It's like your text that needs to be just pure white,
Right.
or this white. So like it needs to be darker, but then like the stuff above it that could show the art. That's fine, but it's like that from a distance, like. I wouldn't be able to read that. Like, what the fuck is
Yeah, I
it?
can't.
And I know
I can't read it.
right, and I know the amulet. It's the same, whatever. And then you have these, like
with no player aid, this is all you've got to go on.
exactly. So it's I would agree with that. The board, while really colorful, is not like super helpful.
Another small gripe compared to the first one. These tokens are neat, but that's going to be public information. We're playing on a very big table, so if you're playing at a table at home, it's potentially you're going to be able to see your partner's score. But like you're ultimately, if it's laying flat, you're going to be out. What's your score?
I mean,
What's
it's
your
why
score currently?
between turns 2
like
and 3.
halfway through.
It's just easier. I mean, they could have easily done a score track around. Like, I mean, that's generic, but it's accessible and everyone can see it.
No, I agree. I think, like, because the game is obviously about having the most loot, I get why they chose this to be like, oh, my treasure chest of money.
Right.
I like that in terms of theme, but in practicality, these are just so annoying. Like, I don't want to ask what everyone's score is whenever in the first one you could easily just look and see
It's
how
like
you
they
compare.
took the idea of like health and mana markers from like a battle game, and they're like, let's just do that with score. And it's like that's not necessary for victory.
Yeah,
points.
exactly. Well, because in this one, where a lot of the cards are affecting other players, and the first one as well with tokens, it's like who I choose to affect is going to be dependent on where they're at on the track, or potentially what our characters are in their ship. But because I have to now stop and just be like, hey, what's your score? What's 60? What's yours? 50? Oh, it's just stupid when I can just then immediately look and then pick.
Right.
Another thing to kind of go off of how these things aren't really practical, I like the fact that they have the ship and the graveyard. Right. I like that. What I don't like is the fact that you have to stack them. So if you have nighttime effects or end of voyage, I now have to be like, can I see your ship cards to know if I'm killing anyone's people, which ones do you have, versus the other one where they're all laid out, and I could be like, oh, okay, I know who that is.
Yeah.
But were there very many that could affect anybody's ship? Because the swords only affected the island.
Oh, the maybe that's why.
I don't know that there was very many that affected the ship.
That's a good point, actually. I think you're correct. I think
there was something.
The only one that I can remember, the Brawler was.
Yeah.
You're right. Was it the Brawler? No, not the Brawler. It was the...
Yeah, the number 22, the Brawler. Not the Brute.
Well, that's only if you have
Yes, you're right. Okay, no, you're right. Yeah, the Brute was the one who removed the island.
Right. No, the Brawler is the only one that killed someone else from another ship.
Yes.
Not the island.
Yep,
Which,
right.
Again, terminology is a little important in this game. So, and again, one thing that is nice, they put island here. So there's no this is the island.
Yes.
Clearly this is your ship.
Yeah. I will say, just aesthetically, I do like the fact that everyone's ships are different.
Right.
That's cool. They had no reason to make this a lore game, like where it's like, okay, what is this?
It's a line-up game. It didn't need lore, but they did it anyway.
Yeah, it's like, okay. But the additional cards, I will say, actually, because like in the first one, whenever we did the run through, like there were multiple times where it's like, this thing kind of sucks. I can't really get a synergy. In this one, every voyage, I'm like,
right.
like, ooh, I can do this.
Yeah. I always felt like we had synergy.
And I also they definitely look like starbursts, right. But I will give them credit that at least you can very clearly tell, like, what they are, and immediately tell what they do.
Yeah.
Right.
And maybe that's why they just kind of had the ship thing, and they didn't do a player aid, because these are no longer hidden.
Right.
Who I'm going to affect, I can look over and be like, oh, okay, you clearly have two maps, versus them being face down as tokens, and it's like, I don't remember what you have. Okay, I'll just pick you, Zach, what else do you got?
The only other gripe that I have, the art is like, a point below the original. It's not my thing.
Right.
It's not that bad once I look through it. I was one of the people who, like, somewhat agreed to some people's critiques of, like, this art's kind of eh.
Yeah.
And I do think it's kind of eh, but, like, that's the worst part of the game for me, and that's really, like, not a big deal.
Right. Sure.
Outside of this, it's a great game, and this is doing nothing. But this is basically, like, it feels like partially an upgrade, but also a expansion to the original game.
Yeah. What it does is, because the original Libertalia was out of print, and some people sell it for like $50, but most of the time I think now people are knowing this is coming out, so they're trying to get rid of their copies. But originally, I think it was selling for like $100. Like, people were scalping, and that's what this did well. It's like, hey, here's a beloved game, everyone loves it. Here you go. And they made very minor tweaks. They didn't give it Libertalia just to sell it, and it's a whole new game. So...
and the tweaks are improvements for the most part.
I would agree. I actually like the fact that you get the same amount of cards, but you play more each round. But what's interesting about that is our run-throughs for both games was the same.
Right.
So about 50 minutes, but maybe a little bit longer for this one. And that's actually a huge plus, because normally it's like, great, this game was 3 rounds. Oh, they added 2 more. Now it's 5 rounds or something stupid. Now it's an hour and a half game. And it's like, this game wouldn't be great if it was an hour and a half.
One of my biggest concerns, because I knew the round structure, the day structure at the beginning, it was going to go 1 through 4, then 1 through 5, then 1 through 6 at the end.
Yeah.
Right.
My concern was, instead of getting 9 cards at the beginning, you're going to have those early cards that everybody forgets about, and by the end of the game, you play a card that everyone forgot about, and they're like, oh shit, I didn't know you had that.
Yeah.
There are more cards in here that allow you to pull cards out of your graveyard and your den and
Yeah.
put them back in your hand. I think we saw 4 of them.
He had a full hand, yeah, especially by the end of the game.
Yeah.
Like, I had like 4 cards left, and he had 9.
Right.
I mean, so we had the Necromancer, the Surgeon, the Innkeeper, and the other one that allowed you bounce again another card. So, like
oh god, where is she? Yeah. You said the Innkeeper. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I mean, there were so many cards to bounce stuff around that, and then hooks allowed you to keep stuff in your boat,
Which
keep
is
it going.
interesting. Yeah, the hook
Right.
being like, okay, like I get to keep.
Which
them
I
there?
didn't think it through. That was in your boat and not back into your hand
Correct.
originally.
Yeah, they stay in your ship,
But that means like
but then you can play the Innkeeper and bounce someone back.
Right.
Yeah. Or what I did, like I got the hook and I'm like, oh well, it's the last round. Okay, that's 2 coins.
Right.
Like, okay. But I definitely see where you're coming from. I think in the first one, maybe I just don't pay attention enough, but even by the 3rd round in the original, I was like, oh, I didn't even remember you had that. This one does accentuate that even more, though. If you are keeping, and you're like, I think I got it, okay, that's probably what he has left. In this one, yeah, you really have no hope of what they got.
In the old one, I did like blackjack. So I just did plus minuses for everybody to figure out odds of what cards you cast.
You also have like a little leg tapper,
Right.
and you have like a buddy hanging out,
Exactly.
and they're like watching.
Exactly. This one, I was more like, I think I'm ahead in this game.
I didn't strategize as much with card counting as as I did in the first one. This one I was like, oh, here's the card, like the synergy, the combo that I can do. I'm gonna try and go that route, and let's just hope it works out.
Right.
But yeah, I think this game only enhances the original. You now no longer have to pay someone $100 to get the same game. You can pay Stonemeyer $80. No, I have no idea how much this game is, but because they were nice enough to send me a review copy. But yeah, I think they kept the game pretty
Yep.
much. The reputation track, once again, it's there. I think I take it or leave it on the reputation track. I like the fact that if you
Until we play those, that's going to be...
yes, yeah, with like
that's going to make the reputation a little more interesting.
make it huge, and also this is probably that's where it would get cutthroat, so you can start knocking people back, so they
Right.
start losing money. Which is, I mean, that's fine if that becomes, and like I said, the reverse side of the board, if depending on who you're playing with, it's like, okay, this is for families,
Right.
and then you do the night side, which actually looks pretty dope.
Right.
I kind of like this actually. You know what this reminds me of? This is Sea of Thieves. That is exactly what this art is.
Yep.
I'm like, man, I feel like I've played a game like this. Yes, Sea of Thieves. So, which still to this day has the best water I've ever seen in any game. But
Yeah, it has to, considering like 90% of the game is water.
yes, but also there's nothing to do in that game. Hence why it was free like 2 days later.
Right.
No, but yeah, then it already has those abilities. But you can be like, this one's a little too mean. Let's do the whatever.
Sure. You can tone it back a little bit.
Yeah, and I like that.
Right.
So, and because it's Stonemeyer, they're probably releasing an expansion. Did the original have an expansion?
I don't think so, no.
Okay. So, which is always a good thing.
Yeah.
All right. So, you guys got anything else?
One quick question.
Yes, go ahead.
Just a quick round of the table. If you have the original, is there a compelling reason to get this?
I would say no.
I wouldn't do it.
Okay.
Well, actually, no. I would say yes, only because this will be supported. Like, if chances
Future
are,
expansions.
Stonemeyer is not like, they're not Fantasy Flight. They're not releasing 40 expansions for a game. But chances are they will probably at least release one, and then you can have more content.
So you would sell the first original and buy this, then, is what you're saying?
I would,
Or wait for the expansion
Just
to come
because-
out, see if you like it.
just because I like having those kind of games that are modern and they'll be
Right.
up to date and supported. But then again, Galaxy Trucker got a new edition, and I didn't sell my stuff and get that.
It's just the original. The other one was better.
Right. So, but I don't own the original. So,
Right.
so if you don't own either, then
I would
definitely
get
just
this.
grab this one. Don't
Yeah.
get the other one. But that is a good question.
I would buy this if it was discounted. I'm not paying full face value for it
Sure.
because I can get kind of the same experience, but
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah.
But if you didn't have the original, and you had to pick between the original one and this one, same price, which one do you buy? Because you find out on Mocan, right? So, and then for the same price, whoever, Stonemeyer. Which one do you buy?
Right.
I would probably get this one, not because I like the original one, and I like having that older component. It's something that less people have, so that's
it's cooler.
Yeah, but I think because the art in this is more accessible, which was the whole point of making this art, it's going to be accessible to families. If I introduce this into friends, this old tattered box of Libertalia that's been played 50 times, or this copy, people are going to be more apt to play this copy.
True.
And I want to get it to the table.
True.
So.
And this does have a solo variant, which I haven't tried, but I will do a run through for it. So that's also, and Stonemaier is probably one of the top companies that make solo games,
right?
Yeah,
or solo variants. But I mean, to each their own. Like, I think that's the dividing point is the art. Like, if it's the same game and someone's like, I don't like the art, I guess I'll keep the first one. But people will probably start selling there's more if this gets supported. It's like, oh, hey, Libertalia expansion.
Right.
The sales of Galecrest or something. That's what they should, the sales of Galecrest.
I mean, again, if I have either one, I buy this one because the language on the cards are clearer.
Yes.
And that's, for me.
Yep. And this has variety.
It has
and the other one, you have the 30 cards and they'll come out differently. This, you have more cards and
more board space
abilities.
And more, Yep.
So... all right, so with that being said, on the scale of 1 to 10, what would you give Libertalia the Winds of Galecrest? We'll do the same order.
I give this a 9 also.
9? Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
There's certain things that pull it back from being... Because it is I do think it's a more refined game. There are certain things I don't like, so it evens out.
So it kind of evens out. Yeah.
I'd say it's an 8.
You're bumping it up to an 8?
Yeah, it's an improvement. So.
Yeah.
Me too. Slight improvement to 8.
Cool. Yeah, I think I'm actually going to... What was I at? An 8 for the first one?
I believe so.
Yeah, I'll actually give this a 9. Like, I'll match his. I think it goes up one more point because it only enhances the first one.
Right.
All right, so that's our thoughts on Libertalia, the Winds of Galecrest. Let us know what you think of the game in the comments below. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and everyone. Hey everyone, thank you for watching, and I really hope that you enjoyed the video. If you would like to see more of my content, go ahead and click that subscribe button and the bell to be notified whenever I upload any new content. If you feel like supporting the channel, you can go ahead and click that Patreon link to be taken to my Patreon, and any help is truly appreciated. Other than that, stick around for any other run-throughs or reviews or cool top 10s or whatever I feel like putting on. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.